one we're going to pick up actually just before the half. As
Huge touchdown for that defense.
Suddenly a 2-point game thanks to the finish with 152 and a touchdown.
If we're being honest, by Josh McDaniel, the double move, and he just throws it out of bounds like he did a go route earlier.
All right, so the Lions take it 26-14, and the frustration for Davante we'll also talk about in moments. But with David Montgomery missing the last 2 games, Jahmyr Gibbs' workload has increased. He's taken full advantage of the opportunity, too, and Gibbs is averaging over 25 touches and 157 scrimmage yards per game over the last 2 weeks. That's an average of more than 6 yards per touch. Chargers running back Austin Ekeler talked about the learning curve of Gibbs versus the veteran Montgomery on his podcast a few weeks back. Take a listen.
There's little keys that can help him. Like I said, for the inside zone, that's the one that really stood out to me, where it was like, okay, let's get this guy's shoulder square. And then, let's say, there's an open gap to the left. Instead of just running into that, right? Let's hold the defense. Right. I have my aiming point that's a little bit wider. Let's hold them shoulder square. And at the last possible second, let me jump cut, sudden jump, and then get vertical in that. So you can hold those linebackers a little bit longer, which I see David doing, whether he knows it or not, which I'm sure he does. He's been around this is like his 5th year or something. It makes a difference. It makes a difference between running through an arm tackle or running fully into somebody.
I think they might have heard Ekeler, Dan.
I cannot love that more. Austin Ekeler, I loved that sound. And I thought, of all the use that we saw from Jahmyr Gibbs last night, this touchdown run absolutely embodies everything that Austin Ekeler was talking about. So first of all, he talked about the inside zone. Now, this is inside zone for the Detroit Lions. Now, before we cut to this clip, I want everyone at home to understand, Jared Goff actually at the line of scrimmage touches his helmet and goes alert, alert. Now, why is he alerting? I want to point out this backside will linebacker. He is in what we call the A gap, in between the center and the guard, okay? Now, when you run these inside zones, you often want to run the game plan specific, maybe away from a certain person or away from a certain player. Now, when he looks at it and sees this backside A gap filled by this linebacker, he sees a void gap-wise here. When that backside will linebacker, that's our nickel, that's the Sam, the Mike, this is the Will. When he's what we call bossed all the way over, that means someone has to replace that open gap in their run defense. Jared Goff knows that safety has to creep down. They do not want to run to the drop-down defender. So Jared Goff is telling everybody, hey, we are going to run the ball away from that drop-down safety. Now, this is an inside zone for Jahmyr Gibbs, and there's a couple things that stand out here. Number one, we are going to take the backside or the front side tight end, and he's going to block that backside edge. We have double teams on the front side. Double team up, double team up. We have a base block by the tackle. Here's the most important part. Amon-Ra St. Brown has to come outside and what we call dig out that run support player. So that's the blocking scheme of inside zone. Austin Ekeler talked about a couple of things. Keeping your shoulders square. We get that with Jahmyr Gibbs right there. The second thing, do not cut before you get to the line of scrimmage. So often young backs cut right now because they think the hole is presenting itself. And then we call it tracks. Get on your track and press the line of scrimmage. This is what I love from Jahmyr Gibbs right now. He can see, okay, maybe there's a cutback lane right here, but he has to trust that these linemen are going to peel back on that backer. And I want to bring it back real quickly. Remember, I told you the most important block is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown digging out that run defender, okay? So press, 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 and right now is the cut. That's that late cut that Austin Ekeler was talking about. Beautiful job by Amon-Ra St. Brown and the backside offensive lineman. That play for me is everything that Austin Ekeler candidly, beautifully articulated when it came to the run game. And Jahmyr Gibbs put it on display last night with that one example of how important it is that track, press the line of scrimmage, trust the block, don't cut too early, and it ends up in a touchdown.
Yeah, the Lions added some more strength today. Donovan Peoples-Jones traded the wide receiver from the Browns. We'll see how that ends up playing out. On the other side, though, Davante Adams had just 1 catch on 7 targets last night. Ugh. It was tough to watch. As reported by Shefty all day, Adams was not going to be moved before the trade deadline. Didn't happen. But, Hawk, what did you make of that situation in Vegas for him?
Yeah, you could see the frustration on DA's face throughout that game, not only because he wasn't putting up the numbers that he's accustomed to putting up, but the plays were there. Davante Adams is 30 years old. And for most receivers, once you get to that age, your value starts to diminish, even if you are playing great. He understands that his window is closing. This is a guy who has been the best route runner in the NFL, bar none, easily in his entire career, and his talents aren't being taken advantage of. And I know that the Raiders came out and said there's no way in hell that they're trading Davante Adams, which is understandable because he's an incredible player. But there are so many questions with this organization, from quarterback to coaching, that you understand that not only are you losing the time that Davante Adams has as a player, you are also losing your opportunity to get the most for a player in an organization that the timing just doesn't seem like it's quite there.
Yeah, Mike Tannenbaum threw this out in just the last hour. He said, what about maybe trade him to the Jets and reunite him with Aaron Rodgers for next year? I don't know.
Something.
I love it. Adam's coming back in just a little bit with a recap of the entire day, all the deals that were done. And plus, we're going to get into this. You might be dressing up for Halloween as your favorite NFL player, but meet some real-life doppelgangers for NFL players.
Oh, no.
You won't believe the stories they have to tell and truly how much they look like some of these players. The NFL trade deadline has come and gone. We're getting you recaps on every single thing that happened today and so much more. We'll be right back. We'll work in the phones as we go back to the deals from the day. A recap for some context here. As you can see, Montez Sweat traded from Washington to Chicago. Also, Chase Young from Washington to San Francisco. Those some of the bigger moves of the day. Donovan Peoples-Jones makes the Lions better. Rasul Douglas, another one that sticks out, traded from Green Bay to Buffalo, helping that Buffalo defense with Tre'Davious White out. We've been through a